Hello and thank you for joining me on this particular video. And for this particular video, I would like to go over what the P word means. So what is that P word that I'm referring to? Depending on how long you have followed me on this channel, that P word is patience. Okay, now what does patience mean? So basically I'll probably do a couple of different videos on this, and I know, right, there's a couple videos that you could talk about on that P word. Yes, if I've talked about it time and time again about what the P word is, which is patience, obviously it's not just a word. There's actually a deep meaning behind the act of being patient, and these are things I kind of wanted to go over with you all through the Dharma way. And so I've actually been following a local Sangha. Okay, and this Sangha is a group meeting that I attend to online, and it's for the Nalanda Bodhi of Seattle. And it was taught by Acharya Tashi Wangchuk, which is a monk, okay, who has been studying these sutras so that we could spread out towards the collective, okay, the seed of Dharma. And I would like to share with you this particular passage. It is called the Treatise of Pointing Out the Tathāgata Heart. Okay, now I know I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but basically the Tathāgata heart means Buddha nature. So what is the heart? The heart is undeceiving, it's essential core, it's unbreakable, it's pervasive, it's the pith of beings. That is the heart, that is the true nature of all sentient beings. And to pay homage, which as you can see in this passage in the first line, I pay homage to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Paying homage means to prevent or dispel obstacles. So, and the first line of the second stanza, it is said, through beginningless, it entails an end. So what does this beginningless mean? So basically what I was taught was that beginningless means that there is no beginning or end. It is endless. And the thing about the patience, which tries the patience, is this thing called an obscuration. So an obscuration means they are not there from the very beginning. It can be relinquished, and there can be an end. Once it has been relinquished, we can think of this as the end of samsara. Okay, so samsara means a cycle, and if you look into the tarot, it could be referred to as the wheel of fortune. It's a circular motion that has many different obscurations that is attached to the wheel, okay, which is karma. So in the next line, it says, what is naturally pure and consists of permanent dharmas is not seen, since it is obscured by a beginningless cocoon, just as the example of a golden statue being obscured. So what this means is that it is not seen, but it's really covered by our own ignorance. So if you're not an awakened sentient being, we can think of this as being stuck in samsara, which is a cycle, and it's because we allow ourselves to be stuck in this cyclic nature or this cyclic cycle. So the next one that I see here, the sutra here is the dhatu of time without beginning is the matrix of all phenomena, because it exists all beings, and also nirvana are obtained. So what this means is that everything is naturally present. Okay, and all beings can and will attain nirvana. Now, regular sentient beings can really attain the sense of nirvana, but obviously it takes time and what patience to get there. So the next passage is a passage in the Tantra says, sentient beings are Buddhas indeed. However, they are obscured by adventurous stains. If these are removed, they are Buddhas. So, any sentient being can be like a Buddha because Buddhas are also like sentient beings. There is no difference. It's just an awareness. It's just, being informed or being aware or having the sense of knowledge and knowing what to do with any kind of obscurations that might cross your way. When the Buddha nature is realized, there are Buddhas, otherwise there are sentient beings. So this, in a sense, could be taken as a sense of duality, right? Differentiating yourself from a Buddha and a sentient being, which is a person who is not awakened. So with that being said, there are 3 phases of being. The first is impure, which is ordinary beings. The second is slightly pure, which are beings that are on the path. And the third is totally pure, which are the Buddhas. Okay. So with these different states of being, this is where we could practice our level of patience or understand what patience means. Impure patience means it's not always present, and if this person is not always patient all the time, this is impure patient. So if they're not present, it's like they understand, okay, being patient, but are they being patient all the time? Possibly not, because they actually deluded themselves of falling into that samsara, okay, the karmic cycle, okay, and that's why there's a loop of them, kind of like acting out on their emotions, okay. So also, we have naturally pure patience. It means it is being present in all the 3 phases, but the strength varies for each phase. So you could actually have naturally pure patience, being patient, but there's differences, okay? So it really varies. And it really depends on the nature of where the context is being applied. A Buddha's patience is the same as ordinary beings, but there is a difference. With the Buddha nature means realized, okay, which is nirvana, and the unrealized is samsara. So samsara, okay, we can think of it as this. The Buddha nature, everyone has Buddha nature. You have Buddha nature. I have Buddha nature. We can all have Buddha nature. Okay, but we just have to work on the level of Buddha nature that we have in each and every one of us. So some people have a lot of patience, but it's almost relatable to their obscurations. So how much of these obscurations are you going to allow into your life, so that you can actually be at peace with yourself? And this is where the patience comes in. Patience is almost equivalent to the obscurations. Without obscurations, there is no patience. We can look at the word compassion. If you're compassionate, you have to also understand the lack of compassion. This is also in alignment with faith. If you have faith, you also have to understand what it's like to not have faith in the situation. So everything here is almost as if there is a sense of duality between 2 actions. Okay, and so we can think of it also as if you want to find the antidote towards patience, you have to look at your obscurations. Patience is the realization of the way how things are, and that is nirvana. Impatience is not realizing the way things are, and that is samsara. So if you don't realize how the things are in a situation, you're actually caught up in a cycle. And it's because that is where you become impatient, because you're not being patient with yourself to understand the true nature of the obscurations that is actually happening in your physical life. So how does these obscurations cover Buddha nature? With patience, we can think of this as patience has no limits or boundaries. But with impatience, impatience actually means that you're very limited or biased, and these two things cannot exist in the same time or same place. Obscurations are not permanent. It is often thought of as a mistake or a sense of confusion, and if it was not there from the beginning, then it can be cleared away. So compassion and patience become limitless. It's almost as if it's an uninvited guest. Anyone can dispel obscurations immediately if you have the realization of Buddha nature. We can also think of this as the Dharma wheel and the higher vehicle where the Bodhisattva sits, okay, or which is, we can think of this as the high priestess or the divine feminine, someone who is awakened. So this higher vehicle, or the bodhisattvas, it is not about eliminating the suffering. It's about eliminating the obscurations. Once you understand that you need to eliminate the obscurations, then you actually become like a bodhisattva, and you can also be in a space of nirvana. If you're kind of stuck in the lower vehicles, which is like, if you can think about this on the 3D plane, okay, where the higher vehicle is the 5D, and the lower plane in the 3D consciousness, or also possibly where all sentient beings are. The sentient being, or people in general, only think about getting rid of the suffering. So it's like, well, how can I, stop this from happening? How can they be patient with themselves, when things in the 3D plane are linear? When, if you're like the Bodhisattva, you can also think of it as being limitless. So if you don't attach with a time or a way of being and release and let go, and just be in the present, then things would be okay. But if you cling on to maybe a time or even like a way of being with dealing with a particular person, it's all about how could you get rid of this pain and suffering. For the bodhisattvas, removing obscurations is where the suffering disappears. That is when you understand the true nature of being like a bodhisattva or a high priestess. Patience is getting away from the object that provokes our anger. And the bodhisattva's approach is to look at what is obscuring our patience and then to address that. When you do this, there is no need to worry about the object you need to distance yourself from. Bodhisattvas do not fear suffering or samsara. They willingly embrace it because they realize the nature of patience and compassion, so they go into it joyfully. It's almost as if bring it on. Whatever that comes their way, even if it's a bump in the road, a bodhisattva or a high priestess welcomes it lovingly. It's because the high priestess or the bodhisattva understands the nature of this obscuration. And so it's almost as if it's a challenge to practice a sense of patience. The bodhisattva can be seen as this. Think of it like camping. So a bodhisattva has a home, but it goes into it willingly, knowing that it is just temporary, and therefore it will return at any time back to their home. But let's say that for a sentient being, they don't actually have a home. And if they don't have a home, they realize it is not fun, and they feel stuck in samsara, because after the camping is done, then where else can they go? They're kind of stuck at the camping trip, right? So the bodhisattva also goes to help awaken the sentient beings and to make connections with them to spread Dharma. So the bodhisattva is there to help others connect to their Buddha nature. So hopefully in the end, there will be limitless Buddha natures in each and every one of us. So I really hope that this was helpful. I hope that it actually expands your awareness of what patience means through the Dharma way. I hope that was helpful, and I will also release a supplemental channeling based on the teaching of the Treatise of pointing out the Tathāgata heart. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.